Hey everyone, so I bet you thought I probably gave up on my truck cab project here, but actually I just been prepping to wet sandblast it. So I was waiting for this attachment for my power washer, which will funnel sand into the spray, and we're gonna go ahead and just get the entire cab stripped down. I think it'll be a really good opportunity, since I can take the firewall out, to really get up inside the cab as well. And then we'll go ahead and epoxy prime the entire thing, and then we'll start on our sheet metal replacement. We are going to tape off the areas like here on the inside flanges before we paint, just so that we don't have to strip it twice. And yeah, it's probably going to be a very long wet day. So I just put out the firewall, and I'm probably actually going to sandblast that as well, because it's gonna prep the surface really well for paint and I won't have to sand it. So but the reason why I took it out is now I can tilt the cab back onto its backside and really get everything inside here clean. Always remember safety first. All right, so I'm gonna fire the power washer up, but before I do, I'm gonna let you guys know what we're gonna do first, and that's just run like a test area here. So I'm just going to show you what it looks like presently. It's pretty glary out here, but pretty bad rust. This area's been sandblasted before, and I'll do a little after shot once we hit it with the power washer, see what it looks like. Well, as much as I hate to say it, this siphon tube hole setup is complete garbage. At least it was for me. I don't know if maybe my sand was too fine or what's going on, but I got about this far. It started to look like it was gonna work okay, and then I just couldn't get it to suck sand anymore. Basically what was happening was, I think water was running back down the hose from the power washer tip into this nozzle, and both sides would just clog up, and it wouldn't suck sand anymore after any amount of time, like just from the jump street, honestly. So what I went ahead and did was I bought this little 10-gallon sandblaster unit a while back for like 40 bucks, and it runs off of air pressure. So I've filled it up with sand, and I attached its outlet to the inlet for the power washer, got my air hose hooked up, and basically what we're going to do is just try and pressure feed the sand and see if that works better. So see what happens. Wish me luck. So we're still having some feed issues even with the air pressure added. It's just really spotty. Sometimes it'll stop feeding sand, sometimes it starts dumping sand, but we are making a little bit of progress. This is actually I used one entire thing of that tank, which is like 3 buckets of 3 5-gallon buckets, but it's cleaning it up pretty well. Still not good enough for paint yet, but we'll keep going and see what happens, see if we can't fine-tune it better. It does really nice in the areas where it was just paint, but the rust areas are a little bit rough. Let's keep going. Well, when it works really good, but the key word there is when. It's really hard to find an equal medium between air pressure and the sand, and also the air seems to want to sneak by the sand and come out bypassing it. So still trying to get the hang of this. We've made a little bit of progress so far. I'd say we're probably going to be at this for a good portion of the day, but I just hope we have enough sand. Well, I'm spending more time fixing this trash than doing any actual blasting. I've made a little bit of progress, but it's more frustrating than anything, to be honest. Anytime a little teeny pebble or anything goes in there, plugs up the lines, and just causes all kinds of problems. Cuts the sand off, cuts the air off. You can get one or the other going again, but it's just a pain in the ass. So I don't really have any other option except to keep going because I got all this damn sand. But I really don't know what I'm gonna do about that thing because it is driving me insane. So right now I have to take off the bottom piece because I think a little rock is stuck in there and won't let any sand out. So I'll let you know what happens. All right, well, I can't recommend that power washer attachment to anybody because it's completely useless. At least I didn't have any luck with it. Also can't recommend this little Sandblaster unit to anybody either because it clogs up every 10 seconds. So I did try to use it without the power washer and it worked a little bit, but you know, like I said, it kept clogging up and then it would start free flowing just air, and yeah, it's garbage. So I am going to try and devise a new plan, throw all that trash away. It looks like I'll probably end up having to pay somebody to do this, but live and learn. All right, so since our sandblasting experiment didn't quite go as planned, I'm gonna continue on with making the toe board section of the floor panel. So we've got our firewall panel right here, and the toe board section is gonna come from the firewall panel, and it's gonna come down this way. It's gonna make a bend here, another bend here, and then it's going to meet the main floor section, which will be right in this area. And I'm going to make it out of 2 pieces just so that I can bead roll it better, because I don't want to run into the same issue I had with the firewall. And basically that'll just make a seam right here, which is not a big deal. And yeah, I've already got my template drawn up for it. Essentially what I did was I took the measurements from the joint at the floorboard and also the joint at the firewall panel here, and our numbers were, I believe, 52 inches down here and 42.25 up here at the firewall. So then what I did was I split those numbers in half and laid them out on a piece of paper here, and this is the shape I came up with. I also did a little bit of math. I subtracted 42.25 from 52 and then divided that number in half. I think it was like 9 3/4, and then that divided to 4 7/8. So my measurement from here to here, if this was a triangle, that would be 4 7/8 inches. And it fits really well. I just checked it against the cab. So I'm gonna transfer it over to some 18 gauge and add an inch, well, add a half an inch on each side for flanges, and then get them cut out. All right, here are our 2 pieces, and I left a half an inch for a flange all the way around on both. So the first thing I'm gonna do is draw up a design, and I think I'm gonna do something pretty simple, probably similar to what was on the stock floor plans, which is like an X with a bead roll through the toe board section, and then a couple of just horizontal lines on the floorboard section. I can show you what I mean real quick. Here's the stock toe board and floor pan, and there's the X I'm talking about, and the 2 straight lines there. I don't think I'll be able to make my X cross through like that. So we got our 2 pieces cut out, and the first step I took was to measure the distance between each area where the floor pan is going to have a bend in it, so that it makes 3 different sections basically. There's the floor pan portion and the toe board section, and this part attaches to the firewall. So now that I know the proportions, I can go ahead and lay out a design in each box. and get the design bead rolled in, and then tip over the edges and start shrinking or stretching them to create our bend in the panel. So I'm going with the basic same pattern that was on the original floor pans. And like I had mentioned before, I think I may have trouble forming the X because of the way the dies work. Probably won't allow it, but we're gonna see what we can do. And then just basic couple of lines on the bottom going across. And it'll be the same on the other side as well. Here she is, one panel bead rolled. I still need to tip the edges all the way around, and then I'll be shrinking. Actually, I think I'll be stretching them because the edge is going to face outwards. So we'll be stretching the edge in order to create the bends in the panel that are going to be these lines here. So let's get this second one done. Before I bead roll this panel, I'm going to go ahead and try the English wheel technique again to stretch it a little bit before bead rolling it, because you could see how this one came out. It's not terrible, but I think it could be better. So we're going to load her up and see how much stretch we can. All right, it may not look like it from this angle, but I would say we got a pretty decent amount of stretch into the panel. Well, it may be more bending than stretching, but we definitely got a little bit of stretching because I could see the panel going in both directions. So we'll go ahead and run a bead and see if it lessens the distortion. I would say it took out a teeny bit of warpage, probably didn't do enough stretching in the panel, but you can see it lays a little flatter. It does have its waves, so. Anyways, these things are looking pretty good. So now we're gonna go ahead and tip the edges over. Unfortunately, my bead roller gear motor is starting to make the sounds of death, so I might have been running it a little bit hard. I don't know, hopefully she'll pull through. Flanges are all tipped on this one. It does have a little bit of warp to it that I'm still trying to work out. But I think I'm gonna start stretching in the two places. Well, we'll start here. We'll start stretching on both sides and see if we can't get the panel to kind of bend into the shape it's supposed to be in. And see if that helps with this warpage that we have going on. There they are. Harbor Freight specials. I think you can get them for like $100 or something like that, but I'm just gonna go ahead and throw a panel in here and make sure this line is kind of centered with the jaw, and we'll start biting into it, and it should cause the panel to twist outwards. So I've taken about I pressed down on the handle about 6 times on each side. We've already got a pretty nice curvature going in the panel there. I should probably check the angle on what it's supposed to be right now before I go any further. My angle finder is saying that it's about 21 degrees on the first one. So we've got a little bit more to go. A couple more bites out of this guy and we should be there. Let's see if I can't show you the process. Alright, let's see what we got now. It's getting closer, I think. Yeah, almost there. In fact, I think I'm gonna hammer out these ruffles in the edge, and that might bend it a little bit. Alright, it's not done yet, but I just test fit it and it's looking real good. We still have to add the second bend up here. I did end up throwing it through the bead roller and putting a nice little crease right here just to kind of define the transition. But I'm really pleased with the way it's looking, so I'm real excited to jump on that one and see if they both fit together like they should. Okay, so one of the things I've learned in making this panel is that I should have put these crease lines into it first. It wasn't a big deal adding them. I just wasn't able to get all the way into the corners real well, and I have to do it with a hammer. So on this panel, I did them first, and now I'm gonna go ahead and fold over the edges this way. They're gonna go down. All right, got both panels finished, and the fit is still very preliminary, but it looks really good so far. I think it's coming out really nice, so I need to do a little bit more stretching here, I think, to give that a little bit more angle, but it's coming along pretty good. All right, well, I've got the floor pans kind of test fitted, and it is a little tight for it to move all the way up. I think we need to go up about another inch, and it should fit exactly where I want it to be. And you can kind of see it gets kind of tight up here, and it's kind of loose down here, so we might have to pull it in a little bit on these upper portions here, because we got kind of the same thing going on here. But then again, I also have to cut out all this stuff down here still, because it is interfering with the way they're fitting. Whoops. But so far it's looking real good. I think it's gonna work out pretty well.